Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conspiracy Corner. This is going to be part 2 of the 3-part Katy Perry series I'm doing right now. This is the one where she screws over a elderly vet. So this article comes from military.com, and the headline is Katy Perry is fighting a dying elderly veteran to force him to sell his home. America may know Katy Perry as a bubbly pop music star and judge on ABC's American Idol. But in the world of real estate, she's apparently anything but bubbly. Perry and fiancé Orlando Bloom are in the middle of a trial that could result in an 84-year-old Army veteran and entrepreneur being forced out of his home as he dies from Huntington's disease. Carl Westcott is a veteran of the 101st Airborne Division, who became an entrepreneur when he left the U.S. Army. His most widely known company is probably 1-800-Flowers. But the Mississippi-born businessman has owned car dealerships, real estate development agencies, and a communications company he sold in 1996 for $422 million. He also founded Westcott LLC, a private equity firm that is currently run by his son, Court, whom reality TV viewers might recognize as the husband of Cameron Westcott from Real Housewives of Dallas. In May 2020, Carl Westcott finally bought his dream house, a $15 million beachfront home with 8 bedrooms and 11 bathrooms in Montecito, California, just outside of Santa Barbara. His neighbors were celebrities and literal royalty. Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are just a few of the other residents in the neighborhood. It was also the house where he intended to live out the rest of his days. In 2015, he was diagnosed with Huntington's disease, a rare condition that causes the degeneration of nerve cells in the brain. Symptoms of his condition include psychological problems, cognitive disorders, and dementia, just to name a few. 2 months after moving in, he underwent a complicated back surgery related to his condition. That's when he claims Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom came to buy his house. According to USA Today, they made the offer through their business manager, Bernie Gudvey, who agreed to act as an agent for both parties and is listed as the defendant in Westcott's complaint. Westcott says he doesn't remember signing any contract with the Hollywood power couple as he was still under the effects of the surgery's anesthesia and was taking opioid painkillers during his recovery. While he did sign the contract, he says that when he came out of the opioid haze days later, he rescinded the document and the couple threatened to sue. The trial will decide the ownership of the house, but Perry and Bloom are also expected to ask for more than $2.6 million to cover the cost of renting another home, while waiting to move in for 3 years and $3.1 million to cover lost rental income for the house during the same time period. A trial for damages has not been scheduled. Proceedings for Westcott's complaint began on September 27th in Los Angeles County Superior Court. Court documents show Westcott never listed his home for sale or spoke to a broker about it, and that he intended to live there for the rest of his life. According to his lawyers, he will not be able to attend court proceedings because he is now bedridden and mentally incapacitated. Upon discharge from the hospital, Mr. Westcott was prescribed at least 2 opiates in pill form that he was to continue taking for pain, which he took as prescribed several times each day. Westcott's lawyers argued in his complaint the combination of his age, frailty from his back condition and recent surgery, and the opiates he was taking several times a day, rendered Mr. Westcott of unsound mind. Under California probate code, Westcott's lawyers say he was unable to understand the nature and probable consequences of his actions. Gudvey, Perry, and Bloom's business manager argued in court on September 27th that Westcott hired a real estate broker to sell the house, and even oversaw a bidding war between Perry and journalist Maria Shriver. Gudvey's attorney, Eric Rowan, also argued that Westcott was not mentally incapacitated by his condition until 2021. Rowan cited Westcott's mental fitness to buy the home in the first place as evidenced by his ability to consent to his spinal surgery. According to People, Westcott's broker at Berkshire Hathaway, Crystal Clark, testified on September 28th that Westcott only rescinded his counteroffer to the couple after Clark informed him he could sell it for more than the couple offered. Because of the litigation and Perry's previous legal battles with similar circumstances, the Westcott family has begun pushing for legislation to protect elderly homeowners. The Protecting Elder Realty for Retirement Years Act, or the Katy Perry Act, would establish a 72-hour cool-down period, during which either party involved in a contract for conveyance of a personal residence, in which one party is over the age of 75, can rescind the agreement without penalty. And that is the end of this article. To me, some of these arguments that were made in court are just ridiculous. Saying that he is of sound mind to sell his home right after surgery because he went into surgery, it's just dumb. That's the argument that their lawyer made, was that, hey, this guy was able to consent to surgery, so he must have been able to consent to sell the home after surgery. That's ridiculous. First of all, not everybody that goes into surgery is of sound mind enough to consent to the surgery. Sometimes the surgery needs to be done, and the doctor will ask you, and you say yes, but that doesn't mean that you exactly understand what's going on. I mean, I used to work in a nursing home a long time ago. I ran the culinary part of the nursing home. I made the meals and the meal plans and all that kind of stuff. And when it wasn't mealtime, I had a lot of time on my hands before I had to go cook the next meal. So I would sit and talk to these people and hang out with them and stuff. And I learned a great deal about the past by talking to people who lived it. And I can tell you sometimes, especially when they take their medication, they're not of sound mind. You know, they're kind of loopy and kind of out of it sometimes, you know, and I've been with enough of them as they died, sat with them and held their hands and talked to them as they passed from this world, to know that when you're real sick like that, everything's kind of a blur. Reality is in and out, you know? So depending on how bad he was before he went to get his surgery, maybe he didn't have the mental capacity to consent properly, you know, and definitely after his surgery. I mean, he's just had surgery. That's a traumatic experience for the body. He's on pain medication, which makes you loopy as hell anyway. So he's tired from the opiates. They're going to make you tired as hell. They're going to mess with your brain so you can't think straight. And then they offer this money. And the same guy is representing both sides of the deal. So that's a little fishy too. Maybe this guy knew he was going in for surgery. He said, hey, the best time to go hit this guy up is right after surgery. He's going to be out of his mind on pain medicine. So go in then and get him to sign the contract. I mean, they said that the court documents prove that he wasn't even trying to sell the home. That he never listed it with a real estate broker or anything. So he wasn't trying to sell it. So this guy says, hey, go in there and try to do this. And they go in. I mean, that doesn't make much sense to me. I don't see how he was able to represent him if the guy wasn't even trying to sell his home in the first place. That's kind of a little iffy too. There's a lot of iffy things in here. A lot of iffy things. But I would say that even if it was all innocent, up to the point that he decides he doesn't want to sell his home, right? Even if Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom did nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden the guy says, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to sell my home. I love this place. I want to stay here till I die. I'm not doing well physically. I'm not in good shape. I don't want to sell anymore. They should have enough morality and enough courage to just walk away from that deal and say, okay, you know what? You're an old guy. You're an Army vet. You're not doing good. That's cool. If you don't want to sell it, we'll go buy something else. It's not like there is another property for sale. You know, they could go buy something else. They don't have to have this home. The guy decided he didn't want to sell it. You should let it be. But instead, once again, what do they do? Just like the last video. If you haven't watched that, go check it out on the YouTube channel. Just like the last one. What does she do? She sues the hell out of the person, stresses them out, badgers the crap out of them. And I mean, this guy is dying. He is dying. He's bedridden now. And she's suing him. And stressing him out and pestering the hell out of him about it. I mean, Katy Perry, in my view, is a despicable human being. And she ought to be ashamed of herself. I mean, that's my view on it. As always, you guys are free to make up your own minds. Please, down in the comments section, let me know what you think. To me, it's just worst case scenario. They intentionally went in when he was right after surgery, when he was out of it, to trick him into signing his contract. And it was dubious as hell. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, everything was on the up and up. And then he changed his mind. Because after surgery, he agreed, but then maybe once he kind of sobered up from the pain medication and was feeling better, he said, you know what? What did I do? I don't want to do this. So he says, I don't want to sell this place. So then they just sue the hell out of him and just make his life a living hell until he does what they want. That's the best case scenario here. Either way, Katy Perry is a scumbag. My view. As always, your choice. You can think what you like. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. Till I speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.